Ta-da!
Ta-da!
That's good. That one I felt like I more like after I ate a good cookie, sort of So it's like a da-dum. So it felt a little more that way that time, at least.
That is the best description of an I've ever heard.
Thank you. I try my best. Because you know what it is? At tour guide school, you have to eventually learn some of these skills about how to inflect your voice and make your tour still interesting. And if you find yourself here listening to this conversation between me and Jacob, it's because you're back to the Grand Line Tourist podcast, a chapter-by-chapter re-examining or examining, if you're Jacob, of Ichiro Oda's One Piece manga. Again, I am your tour guide, Eric Vu, and the guy we named the whole podcast after is here with me too. And he will introduce himself.
I'm Jacob. And I, Jacob, am your tourist here to, hopefully get some cookies in the back of the kitchen. No, we don't eat a lot on this tour. I'm a little worried.
We don't. No, we don't. I mean, it's we provide sandwiches for the most part, but like I can't guarantee you that they're all going to be any different. Majority, this is a 1,000+ chapter tour, so it's gonna take us a few years at least to
So I'm just digesting literature, huh? I'm just supposed to survive off of pictures and words. You know what? We got some words coming in from one of our favorite listeners, Christian. He wrote us in specifically responding to some of the stuff that we talked about in our last episode. So I just want to go ahead and catch up with him real quick because he's taken the time to let us know that kicking ASS and taking names is an old idiom based on his internet research. The reference to bubblegum. Yeah. The only kind of research that matters on this sort of thing on this sort of podcast. There's a movie called They Live, which is from. So I'd never heard of that before, but he went ahead and merged those two, being very creative. And he mentions that his email might be from 2 episodes worth of what we've done, and it's understandable because sometimes me and you release episodes kind of back to back in a little pack.
Yes.
So it's a little unfair that we do that. You can't quite sometimes squeeze in the middle, so we apologize for that. But he also reached out with some manga recommendations, and he mentioned, this was I think one of the cool things that I like that he mentioned, is that a lot of mangas don't really pick up or show what the rest of the manga is about until you're 60 to 100 chapters in. And so I actually kind of liked, me and you have talked about, like, we going all the way, we get into the Grand Line. Of course, we're going to get to the Grand Line. But, it would be nice to have a check-in moment to see, like, how we're feeling about One Piece. I know we kind of had a check-in moment with the end of this last arc. So I was thinking this the 60 to 100 chapters in, where something called an Arlong arc lies, I think is another good check-in point that we could have, to gauge how it's all going.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the arc, a defining arc for you if you want to keep going with the tour. Yeah.
Okay, I like having this future point to kind of reach, it kind of, without the cookies, I needed something to look forward to off in the distance. And now I got it, thanks to Christian. So we appreciate him writing in. And feel free to do that yourself if you have any comments about the show at grandlinetourist@gmail.com. And without further ado, unless you had anything else to say about that.
I do not. Thank you, Christian, for continually to support us by sending us emails. At the very least, we know we're being listened to and enjoyed by Christian. I know there's some of you other listeners out there too. Just let us know you're there. Talk to us. We don't know at this point. It's just a boat with me and Jacob and Christian slightly behind us.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's get to the itinerary for today. What chapter are we even on? We're on
chapter 22, titled "Strange Creatures," starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Amy Adams, and
oh my goodness.
No, that's
Nocturnal Animals. Wow.
There's a Strange Creatures. When I read the title, I was like, that sounds like a really good title for an indie movie also. It probably could be. But that's the title of this chapter. The itinerary goes. We pick up right where we left off. The crew is still floating along. Nami, though, is actually taking the time to sew or repair Luffy's hat a little bit, which Luffy is super grateful for. There's no more holes in it, but then he instantly pokes a hole into it. After Nami tells him you just need to be soft with it. It could probably hold up, and he pokes a hole. And then she pokes him with the needle, which hurts him, which is funny, that's a thing that can actually hurt him. Bullets can't because they're round, but a needle, because it's a point, can definitely hurt him.
Just sharp enough.
Yeah, they talk a little bit about how they're hungry, and Nami again points out, like, you guys are not prepared for the ocean. You're not respecting the ocean, and they're like, that's a fair point. They see a island in the distance that looks deserted by Nami's, like, very astute and good instincts about the ocean, and Luffy doesn't.
No, I trust her more than Luffy for sure. Luffy and Zoro, who knows what they know.
Luffy doesn't really care. Luffy's like, I don't know, there's probably something there. So he's like floating towards, he decides to go towards the island. The moment we get to the island, Zoro is dead asleep, right? Still dead asleep because he's recovering still, right? And then Nami and Luffy decide to walk in, trying to find more stuff to kind of see and do. As they go in, they notice that it's weird here. All the creatures are like combination creatures. I think the first thing they come across is like a fox chicken that's like clucking, right? It's like... Quack. Yeah, and clucks, and then they run into a snake rabbit, and then they run into a pig lion. Like, it's great. It's so weird. The further they get
Pig lion was my favorite of the three.
Which one is the pig lion?
Pig lion. I like those.
Oh my god, yeah, pig lion was the best.
It's got the mane. The mane just looks wrong on other animals for some reason.
It's just so great. It's just one of those things that Oda does with this story. It's like, oh, it's of course animals are wacky. That makes sense. The deeper they go into the forest, they hear a voice kind of like yell at them, saying stuff like, do not walk any further, I'm warning you, or else prepare to face the trial of the force, which was kind of foreshadowed in the ending of chapter 21, was like they faced the trial of the force. The voice keeps going, but Nami and Luffy both start realizing, like, why are you, we said we're gonna not stop, like, you could just, if you're gonna start the trial, you need to start the trial now. And then, eventually the voice goes, I'm gonna start, and then he shoots, a bullet comes, shoots Luffy in the back. It doesn't hurt Luffy. The voice gets very perplexed about what it is. And then afterwards, they find out that it comes from... they find a treasure chest with an afro sticking out of it.
Yeah, an afro with feet, treasure chest. I wrote that. I really liked the reveal of what turns out to be Gaimon, the keeper of the island, who's been alone and marooned for 20 years, right? Yeah?
Yes, 20 years on this island by himself, stuck in this treasure chest. Does not want to be broken out of. It's one of those things. This is a really cool chapter because this is the first chapter where we actually get to see the world of One Piece, like literally mapped out for us. We get to see it on the screen and listen to Nami explain the geography of this world. That happens in this chapter. And then we hear Gaimon's, Gaimon's or Gaimon's, I don't know.
I know a Gaimon.
Yeah, Gaimon. He talks about
famous author, wrote a couple books about
Neil Gaiman. First
name Neil. No.
Not the same guy. Unless Neil Gaiman's trapped in a treasure chest also. He explains his backstory about how 20 years ago they came here because they had a map that says there's treasure here, but it was empty. But he found 5 treasure chests on top of on this cliff that he still hopes is full of treasure, all for him. But he's never been able to check because now that he's stuck in this treasure chest, he's too small to climb or trek up the cliff.
Yeah, no, he went up the cliff, he saw them, and he was, going to get his hands on them, and fell right back into the one treasure chest that was empty that they'd found earlier. Such a tragic tale.
Yes, so now he goes, and Luffy and Nami say, hey, we can go check it out for you. Luffy goes up there, and Luffy's like, I found the treasure chest. And Guy was like, just throw him down, and Luffy's like, I'm not going to do that. And in that moment, Gaimon realizes that the treasure chests are empty. His fear, like, for 20 years, he was... on this cliff, hoping that they had something, but they were just empty. In the end, Luffy invites him to
heartbreak.
Yeah, Luffy invites him to join the crew, go with them to the Grand Line. Gaimon decides that no, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna guard this island and protect these animals that he's grown very attached to. And then Luffy and Nami they just go on their way, saying bye to a friend that they made, and hopefully they can see again in the future.
Yeah, no, that was well put. The only thing I think I'd mention is I don't know if he didn't want to leave the... Oh, yeah, he didn't want to leave the island because he had the treasure there. But it also would have been tough for him to leave the island if he had wanted to as a single creature in a treasure chest, right?
Yes. as a man who barely had, like, his hands poking up. But he still had a gun, which was surprising.
Yeah, no, and that's interesting. I thought that was a pretty brutal... trial for people that aren't Luffy.
Yes, he's gonna go ahead and kill people. Like the trial, the trial of the force is I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah. No. It's I gotta let off with some initial thoughts here, and in the initial thought, I don't know if I'm wondering if it's similar to yours. I actually really really liked this chapter. I just thought the story was like exciting, engaging, and a bit of like a delight, and I think. There's probably a lot of reasons for that. One of the things I want to discuss with you, and I'm not sure how common it is, but we locked off Zoro as a character by putting him to sleep, right, at the beginning. Yes. So I didn't know maybe if this is a common thing that's going to happen, because it meant that we had a very direct, consistent story, as opposed to, if we have Kobe on like the bottom of a watchtower and like stuff going on, at the top of the watchtower, we have to keep cutting back and forth, which can be cool as well for simultaneous action. But I thought this was nice for just being able to live in like this one directed story. We do have the flashback from Gaimon in the middle there, but that's kind of a continuation of this single connected story that we have. So I really liked it, actually. How does it fit for you?
Yeah, I kind of wrote down it's like a palate cleanser chapter. It just kind of, it's a story that kind of exists in one chapter, which is, I think, pretty rare for One Piece now that I'm thinking back to it. I don't know how many chapters we're going to get like this, where like it's just one concise story told in 30 plus pages in one chapter. Like, you don't really get that, because I feel like later on the One Piece chapters are just longer and longer, and the arcs are like, they're really defined by arcs. This one I'm very interested to see. It's grouped in with the next arc that I believe starts in the next chapter, but I'm wondering if the themes and some of the stuff that we talked about in this chapter in Strange Creatures is going to tie into the themes of the bigger arc that's going to take place over multiple chapters, right? But I'm with you. I do like it, and I think I found myself trying to draw out more like themes and stuff, and trying to pull out the point or the theme of his story of Gaimon as a character of this chapter, and I might have just overthought it a bit, because I know I liked pieces of it, and I was still moved by pieces of it and how the story went. I'm just I guess I couldn't find like the theme. I have some guesses that I'm excited to talk to you about.
I'm ready to guess with you, because I actually think, because this chapter is self-contained, it almost reads like a parable. Like you have this story of this one guy. We have very specific imagery and very specific things that happen with treasure, and that kind of leads me to got some cool ideas rumbling around in my head, similar to you, about what the theme and the point of this could be. And even if it isn't easy to track down exactly, it still felt very resonant. Like, I found Gaimon to be such a compelling character. I think this is my favorite character introduction so far. I think it's actually my favorite character design, too.
Yeah, he's a great one.
It's going to take a while. Yeah, it's going to take a while before we beat Treasure Chest with an afro with feet as an introduction to a character.
Dude, I don't know. Like, it's such a fun design, and I don't remember, at least, the next time we'll see him.
Oh,
yeah.
Spoilers for the fact I didn't even know we were gonna even have the possibility of seeing him. But now I'm gonna make a very cheap and easy Jacob's prediction. Tinfoil time. I think we're seeing Gaimon again now that Eric has mentioned it to me.
You think it's easy, but I'm telling you right now, I don't remember seeing him again.
Oh no, I thought you were hinting that for sure we see him at least once. But I'll put it in there. I think we're gonna see him again. And you know what? I'm gonna even put out there that he is not the only character we'll ever see stuck in a treasure chest. I think there will be more. It's going to be a running visual gag.
He's not the only character we'll find trapped on an island.
Oh, well, that one I thought that was too easy. I want to be more specific, and we're going to find other people trapped in treasure chests in a similar fashion, which changes their character and their ability to move.
Also, since we're already on the topic, let's talk a little bit about digesting the nuances or like the themes or the themes of this China chapter. Big one for me, which I think, based off of Gaimon's story or Gaimon, and Luffy, because in the beginning,
Gaimon,
he's kind of judging Luffy about getting One Piece, right? Even Nami is like, we don't need to go for One Piece. We can just get all the other treasure if it's just about treasure. But it's kind of like similar to, like, the best thing I can extrapolate from it is just like, chasing one's dream can always end up, like, it doesn't always end up positive, which is what Gaimon's kind of sitting at here, which is like his hope, that he calls it, is that their 5 treasure chests on top of that cliff are full with treasure that he gets to keep, that they were his. That's what he's been guarding for 20 years. And in this chapter, we see that crushed. Like, he doesn't have it. Like, there's nothing in there. So theoretically, his hope, his life was kind of wasted in a way, but that's not how Luffy saw it.
Yeah.
Luffy was kind of he took a fun little thing of like, man, you're lucky that we came now.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I like all the stuff you brought up there, and I'm gonna take a quick crack at, like, when I analyze stuff like this. What do we got? We got Gaimon, guy trapped on an island, with pirates, right? And he was grasping to search for more when all the other pirates left him and he got stuck, right? And he thought he'd found more. He thought he'd found those treasure chests at the top of the cliff.
Yeah.
And so he stuck around with like you said, the hope that they're there and that there's treasure and he's someday going to be able to get it, right? He's staying there. They're his. And ultimately, it's a false hope, right? Like the hope is incorrect in thinking that there's treasure up there because there's not treasure up there. And I think that's where I really like this chapter. I think I love this imagery of a guy standing guard of treasure chests that he doesn't know are empty. And then I also like the fact that Luffy didn't want to spoil this man's hope. He didn't want to spoil the fact that there is no treasure in there. He's I'm not gonna bring him down, and he didn't want to tell him why. And then I also thought it was so cool how Gaimon discovered it instantly. Gaimon, I feel like, may have known deep down that like empty. This is just where he belonged, and what that hope gave him was a reason to be there. And he wanted to be there, and then as soon as he knew that wasn't the reason anymore, he came up with another reason, right? He's not joining Luffy's crew. He is going to guard the creatures that he's always been. He's just comfortable there. It's like a man coming into his own and realizing he doesn't need to be striving for the treasure, or something like that.
Like he's grown past it.
Yeah, he's grown past it. Like, and I want to say he may have always been a little bit past it. Like that might be reaching a little too much, but something about the way he quickly discovered it for himself and got over it so fast makes me think that there's a lot there to like kind of unpack. But no, I really like the way that read. I was just like, wow, I like this is awesome. I like the story a lot.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's kind of like a reference to something else too, like maybe in Japanese history or something like that, or maybe it's like a folktale, like maybe similar.
It feels so folktale-y, like it just it's like you should try to count your chickens before they hatch, but at least you knew that there was a basket that may have had chicken eggs in it. You know what I mean? Right. It's like it just almost fits right into a one-liner.
Yeah. I get you, man. So, yeah, I mean, like, I did enjoy it overall. That's kind of what I was kind of pulling out of it. But, yeah, I have another point that I'm ready to go to, depending if you're ready to move on, if there's any last thoughts you have about this whole...
No, I think thematically, I like it a little bit ambiguous. I think if we tried to push on exactly what we think it would just kind of mess with it, or we'd find some, little nuance that actually doesn't quite fit into our reading. So we encourage you guys all to do the same thing, What do you think of Gaimon's Tale? What's going on there? And you let me know if this is the thing you're going to move on to, but I would at some point like to talk a little bit about the world now that we have this visual of what it looks like. And I don't know if that's it. Oh, wait, no. So however you want to lead into that, that's fine too. I'll let you start.
No, that's what I wrote down was a glimpse at the world
I'll
of
lead
One
us
Piece.
into your topic without even knowing it. That's awesome. Because, this is the first time we see any sort of geography and make it understandable. And also, it just reminds me, I wrote down that I really enjoyed, also, this was like, it feels like pirates on land in a jungle. It's just something we hadn't had yet. Like, It feels like quintessential pirate, and now we've had it. We've had the town and the pirate, we've had a little bit on the ocean, but this is our first, like, island. Going to the jungle, looking for something. And it just, I like the feeling and the change in the visuals. And then now we're getting to understand that this world looks really cool on a map. I had it look legit. It makes me think of Halo a little bit. Like, this gigantic ring world. We have basically the entire landmass is in a line around the center of the sphere.
Yeah, and called the red line.
Yes. And then the grand line is a line that goes completely perpendicular to it, intersecting, and I think it's the thinnest point of the red line, or there might be like a town there or something.
Right, there is a town in the middle of the grand line there. Which is really cool to kind of look at. But the Grand Line is essentially like a strip of ocean, like the equator, right? Right on the equator. It's going to be like a strip of ocean. They haven't talked about it yet, but the Grand Line is also... It's a strip because on the outside of a strip is like this calm, like a calm piece of ocean. But but it's occupied by giant sea kings. Like the giant creature that guarded Luffy's island.
Got it.
So it's stuck between. So the Grand Line's I'm doing visual, but the Grand Line, just imagine it as a strip of ocean, and then on both sides is a calming belt. That's Beast Kings. So you can't if you fall into the border, if you fall into those calms, your ships are gonna get attacked by these Sea Kings. So they'll talk about that later, but because they didn't really draw out the Grand Line, but that's what the Grand Line is.
Oh, and just make sure I got that. Is the Grand Line calm or is it torrentious?
So the Grand Line is like another ocean. Like imagine it's just like a strip of the ocean that's the shape of like the equator. Yeah.
No, and I thought I might have got it backwards. Is that strip calmer than the ocean around it?
No, there's two pieces of ocean next to it that's calm.
Okay, both sides, and then so you got like it's kind of like if you visualize this with me, if you're approaching the Grand Line, kind of as if you're going to go across it, right? You're not traveling along it. Yeah. What would happen is you'd be in regular ocean. Who knows? Maybe it's a little bumpy. Maybe it's a little normal. Then you'd hit calm.
Yep. And then
you'd hit torrential. Yeah. Because in the middle there's some. It's crazy, right? It's torrential.
Yeah. The calms are terrible. In the calm strips. Yeah, that's where all the big sea creatures live, and that's where they'll attack you.
What's in between the calm strips?
In between the calm strip is the Grand Line, and that's the ocean part. Because the Grand Line is a giant piece of ocean that's a strip, right, that goes around the circumference of the whole sphere, and it's built with tiny little islands that you can kind of make different pathways through. That they'll explain the logic of. You'll see it soon.
And we'll see it a lot more. Yeah, so we just kind of all that was revealed in this chapter really is how it looks relative direction-wise to the red line. But no, that's really cool because even you got me really excited just by mentioning that bit about it kind of explained the lore of why there was creatures around Luffy's island initially, which I didn't expect to be explained. But I really dug this whole map sequence. Nami gets to do her navigation thing, and it's kind of funny. Usually you have to invent a character that doesn't know something in the One Piece world. Yeah. Eiichiro Oda's a genius, and he just said Luffy doesn't know anything about anything, so he can always be the character that's getting explained to. He doesn't know how to sew. He doesn't know about maps. He doesn't know how to get food on a boat.
He's the best. He's learning. He's the best proxy of explain that to me.
Yes, it's in his character just to say that out loud, and then be amazed by it, to be like, whoa.
Yeah. Cool. So you can kind of see that, and then if you take a look, I'm looking at the panel where they're talking about the world. If you look at, because they're perpendicular, right? The red line and the Grand Line are perpendicular to each other. You can break up those four quadrants as the oceans. Oh, that's why we're in the east blue, because they're the east side of it, the east side of those four quadrants.
Okay, and then I guess I don't know where blue would be yet, though. You know what I mean? Is blue north? Is blue south?
So east blue would be just like the four, because if it's a cross, right? If the Grand Line is going this way and the red line is perpendicular, then automatically you have four quadrants. So east blue is like this bottom one or this one, or depending on how you look at it. But the ocean itself...
Oh, yeah, no. Mm-hmm. I guess the thing I wouldn't know is I can obviously tell which side would be east. I know which would be east of the red line, Uh-huh. But I wouldn't know which would be... if it would be the upper or lower quadrant.
I'm not quite sure either. I don't know which one it is.
No. Yeah. But it's very interesting that there is, I guess it's kind of like north, south, east, and west in our real world, except there's a gigantic landmass that helps define north. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really crazy. It would be like if you're on the red line and you walk north, you can just do it. You'll walk all the way around the world and come back to where you were.
That's what I was going to say, too. That's kind of weird about this world that I never thought about, because so much of it obviously takes place on the ocean. But the strip of land, the red line is just a giant walk. You can walk around the world, like you just said.
No, it is really cool looking. I feel like Halo stole this. I don't know. I feel like this is pre-Halo.
This is definitely pre-Halo.
I think someone saw that panel and said, I want to do that, and I don't want it to be about pirates. I want to be in space. And they
I didn't know Halo was like a planet of just around... Is that what it is?
Yeah, so it's a little different. Imagine that picture that we're looking at with the kind of the sphere and all the water and then the red line, right? Mm-hmm. Now, take out all the water and all the planet, but keep the red line.
Oh.
You're just living on the surface.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's what it is. I think you're actually living on the interior, or the exterior. I'm not sure if you're on the inside of the ring or the outside of the ring, or if they're both available to live on.
It's kind of like the Citadel from Mass Effect, also.
Oh my goodness! All these people
we just
are
keep
borrowing from each other.
Sci-fi.
And that's like Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. No, I don't know. I have never read those, so take that reference with a grain of salt. But no, it's very cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, man. So this is it, man. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of all of the theory crafting and looking at the world. But that's the Grand Line. That's the foreshadow. That's where we're going to make sure we have you live up to your name.
Yeah. No. Oh, and the other thing that I thought was really funny, especially for the nature of our podcast, is we are the Grand Line tourists. We're going to tour the Grand Line. However, it feels like what I'd rather do, Eric, is I'd rather take a coastal red line tour. I've been told that the Grand Line is full of whenever somebody happens to sail it, they come back broken men, almost zombies. To quote, to quote Gaimon. So what did I pay for here? Like, I don't want to come back a zombie. I don't want to be a broken man.
I love how he called it the pirate's graveyard, right?
Yeah,
like, that's what it is. It's just where all the fighting is.
Pirate's graveyard, the tourists, sacrifice table. I don't know what we're going into here.
Oh yeah, just get ready for the sheer like RPG element of the Grand Line that's coming. Yeah, it's built. The way One Piece is built to last a long time. Hence the 1,000+ chapters of this story. So once we get to the Grand Line and they talk about the rules and the logic of the Grand Line, it's like that's some video game stuff. That's some 60-hour plus logic that you just
and I'm
built.
excited to know like an interesting thing. Looking at this map, it feels like I know I was joking that it would be more fun just as like if we were imagining living in the world of One Piece to take a coastal Red Line tour. I don't know, I figure there's some nice towns on the land. It's not as dangerous as maybe the Grand Line might be, but once we actually get on the Grand Line, I don't know how one like marks their position along it, like it actually seems like a very tough idea to pull off. I'm sure there's some maybe mechanic to help readers understand where they're going to be on the Grand Line, but like if you're saying if you're some sort of tale on the ocean, like you might say, oh, the between these two islands and you're at a certain point, right? But now this is like between the same point circumnavigated all the way to the other side, right? Like describing how far along you are. It'll be interesting to see. I know you kind of mentioned there might be some islands along the Grand Line. So
there's a ton of them. There's a ton of islands on the Grand Line, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So no, it'll be cool to see how we get this definition to right now what is a very cool, vague concept. I like it.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm glad that you got a kick out of that. You're already a One Piece fan, my friend.
No, yeah, because like I think what it is One Piece started at a certain point, right? And I had my expectations or non-expectations either met or unmet, right? And it's only grown to be cooler from that point, is what I think.
Nice. That's a good place to be.
Yeah, no, like it hasn't, like I feel like we haven't taken any backward steps. It hasn't been like, oh, yeah, we're just, it's another no-name boss battle and, on another no-name island. No, it's like, oh, okay, we're building out this world. We're fleshing it out. We got more characters. Got cool parables thrown in the middle. So, yeah, no, I was, this chapter, in which I'm almost a little disappointed that you're kind of saying it's not maybe as belonging in the arc as other chapters that we're about to see. But I still really dug it. So
yeah, we have to see though. It's been a while since I read the next arc, so I have to see if and now I have it in my head to see if the themes we talked about here is going to apply to the themes of the next arc.
Yeah, if we see any more empty treasure chests, then there's definitely going to be like some obvious connections to draw. If not, no, that's okay too. But we'll see. That's what I got saved in my mind to keep an eye out for.
All right. Well, let's do some ha-has. Let's talk about OP got jokes.
Oh yeah,
because there was a lot of them here.
Yes.
I'll let you take the first one. Do you have a favorite joke or something that stuck out to you?
There's quite a few. I wrote down a couple. I liked sometimes Luffy just saying things that are so blunt and obvious is just hilarious.
Yes.
This hat was full of holes, and now you can't even tell. It's like he doesn't know what sewing is, and so when he sees it happen to something that's dear to him, it's like magic.
Yeah.
It's like Nami may as well be a witch. Like he's a rubber man, but Nami, she can sail on the sea. She can stitch stuff together. She's more powerful than Luffy.
She has practical life skills. Yeah.
Yeah, no, practical life skills are magic to Luffy, is what it seems like. And then he breaks it, which is great too.
Yeah, so. Which is actually where my first joke that I wrote down is I love that she pokes him with the needle. And then the next panel with him being happy, you can see the little needle, like the little hole bleeding a bit.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, which is really funny. And he's right. Like that's the only thing that can hurt him. Things that pierce and slice can hurt him. Yeah. But like the little balls, obviously the little bullets are not gonna hurt him. My next one was Gaimon falling and like essentially like a turtle on its back, like he couldn't get back up.
Yep.
I thought it was really funny. Like he's running, and then clunk, oh no, help me up, which is really funny. Also makes me wonder, so the past 20 years, you've never got knocked over? And then I also really liked that neither Gaimon or Luffy knew how to read a map. And they both just laughed about it.
No, they're like, oh, great, we're just good old chums that are apparently never going to get treasure anywhere.
Right, and they just laughed and laughed about it. They thought it was the funniest thing that neither of them had the skill.
I liked, we got some special names for Gaimon. We got, Luffy makes a joke about him being like a boxer at some point. But my favorite, he calls him, like, I think a couple times actually, like, Mr. Shrubman. Like, what are we doing, Mr. Shrubman? Mm-hmm. I love that,
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah, I think he even calls him an exotic animal at some point too.
Yes, because he was like, "I'm here. Most people come to this island to try to steal these exotic creatures," and Luffy's like, "Well, you're kind of exotic yourself, bro," which is great. Which it's funny that Gaimon still reacts to it like, "No, I'm not. I'm just choosing to be stuck in this treasure chest." Also, his logic for not getting out of the treasure chest is really funny. Like, I'm probably the shape of this box now. Like,
shape of this box now. Like, if you break the box, you're breaking me.
Yeah. I don't know if that's how the body works, but I don't know. It's One Piece, man. Luffy stretches, so
and actually, the funny thing is, I realized we didn't really actually resolve his story in a his problem isn't resolved. What it was, his problem is not being in the box, which we first might expect when you meet a guy in a box.
Yeah.
His problem is more about like life stuff and hope and all that. But he's gonna be okay in that box. I mean, he's staying in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want to get out. He has no desire to get out. Like, he's in it. That's all my ha-has. Any left on your side?
One thing I wanted to bring up, which I thought was quite cool. Have you looked at the front cover of this chapter? It's got in this case, we got Luffy with a gigantic hammer punching down onto something, and we got these bunnies nearby. Some of them are eating some buns. Do you kind of see that picture?
I think he's making a dongo.
A dongo? What's a dongo?
It's like a rice pudding treat.
Okay, no, yeah. I was going to actually... I know you probably knew it better than me. I knew for sure that if you get Japanese sticky rice, I think the way they pound it into some sort of treat is like I thought they sometimes even like take turns with a hammer.
Yeah.
But Luffy broke it, right? Like he broke I don't think it's supposed to fall apart like that.
No, it's not supposed to break. I think he was supposed to swing lighters with that bunny the rabbit on the other side was trying to...
This was a cover that was like even more culturally intelligent than I ever would have expected, right? Because I think that is legit kind of the mechanism and tools you would use to make this particular food. And so I just liked being able to notice that. I was like, oh my goodness, look at that.
I only know, so the reason why I know it's a dongo is because of Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh, okay.
Because Monster Hunter Rise is more Japanese themed as a Monster Hunter game. But before you go on hunts, you get to eat food. And usually in the other Monster Hunters, it's like a full-on meal, like barbecue and all this stuff. But in this one, in Monster Hunter Rise, it's dongos. Like they feed you dongos that have different properties that do different things for you in their hunt. So that's how I know, nice. And I get to watch like cute little cats make the dongos. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's making in this picture.
No, right on. You ever try to make some yourself?
Dude, I just ate one earlier today before this podcast.
What?
My sister and my nieces went to like a Japanese store, a local Japanese store, and they came back with a bunch of them, and I just ate one, and they're
You
great.
were so incredibly prepared for this chapter.
I didn't even realize that's what it was until you brought it to my attention, so it's just... I don't know. It worked out, man. Look at this.
Best tourist ever. Oh, no, sorry. Best tour guide ever. Best tour guide ever. Next time, share, though. I want a piece.
Oh, man. I still have a bunch. You have to swing back over here, though.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's battle. Let's swing some panels in each other's faces.
This is the panel battle, where Eric and I pick our favorite panel of the whole chapter, the one that spoke to us most, the one that we think's the coolest, and we put them head to head to duke them out for, posterity, for fun, for bragging rights, for for cookies sometimes, And he's shots fired, hot off the press. I have Eric's panel coming in right here. And remember, you can always send us in your panels at grandlinetourist@gmail.com. But Eric's panel is circled. It's the bottom right of this page. What do we got? We have, I think we're ending the flashback of Gaimon. Luffy's... Oh, wait, we just saw... Oh, Gaimon's seen his pirate friends sailing away. He can't climb to the top of his rock. That means this treasure is all mine. And then he's kind of at the edge of this cliff. There's the sun in the background. He's like, come back, you guys. He's yelling to the crew that just left him, right?
Yeah, he's trying to get them back because he was happy knowing that the treasure is going to be all his, but then he realized that he can't get up there, and now he's begging for them to come back. Yeah, I just kind of like the loneliness of that panel.
Yeah, I know, and the fact that he's like, with the sun on his back, he's now kind of completely in black colored because he's completely in shadow.
Yeah.
And on this edge of this cliff, and he's got such a distinctive silhouette because he's partially a box.
Yeah.
And no, so that's a lot going on.
Yeah, and no afro yet because his hair hasn't quite grown out yet.
Yeah. No. Oh, I forgot. You know what? I should have mentioned this in the jokes section, but there's a couple times where they use his afro and they like have another panel inside his afro as like a illustrative technique. Which I just thought was incredibly clever. Like almost right now, you can almost say that the I don't think this is the case. Maybe it is though. The sun is a predictor of how big his afro will be if you kind of like draw that circle to his head. Probably not intentional, but it looks really cool. You can almost imagine it.
Yes, he does look like a shrub, which is why I can see why he's calling him a shrub. But yes, that was my panel that I've chosen for this chapter.
Very good, very good. I have to say, I feel like if any panel from this chapter that anyone likes has Gaimon in it, I think I'm going to be like, well chosen. Good choice. Go ahead and check out my panel. It's this middle one on the bottom here.
Yes. You know what? I almost chose this panel too. This is Luffy informing Gaimon that, all the treasure chests are empty. And it's just a really cool, like, little bird's eye view shot, right? Panel.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. A bird's eye view facing down, like they're all directly above Luffy. We can see Gaimon and Nami down on the bottom of the cliff, but we can also see in this shot, which is really heartbreaking, like the empty treasure chests. Like they're all empty, all next to Luffy and stuff like that. It's nuts. And it's also kind of probably the definitive panel of this art or this like chapter, I think, which is this is what it is, man. You stayed here 20 years for these treasure chests that you did not know if were empty or full, but this is the answer. What are you gonna do with the rest of your life, sort of deal, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy, and I think this panel does so much work in such a clever way because characters in comics and manga are generally drawn to have a distinctive profile, right? So that you can read the action, you can read who's in a panel very quickly, right? But I think this just shows like Eiichiro Oda working with what he's got. Like he knows in this chapter he has Gaimon, who has a very distinctive afro, right? And if you're gonna do a shot like this to show the treasure chest, it also kind of shows off the work he did to make their profiles distinct from a bird's eye view as well. Like usually I wouldn't expect every character to have distinction from a bird's eye view. Like Nami herself is probably an example in this panel. We know because she's the only third person there. She's not too distinctive from bird's eye, but Luffy the other totally is because he's got a straw hat. Totally, it's him. And the other guy's just this black blob with just a little cute thing, which we know now is like that's his face because he's got to have a face inside all that afro.
And they're both looking, the
treasure chest peeking out,
and he's looking up, right? They're both looking up. So
yeah.
So we would be able to see his face from a bird's eye view because
you're right. No, I like how you put that together. No, it's not just that because a bird's eye of him in general would just be a black. It would look like a shrub.
Yeah, it looked like a shrub.
but in this case, we have him looking up because his hope was up there, and Luffy's got to let him know the truth.
Oh, that's really good. His hope was, I like that. And Luffy didn't want to. I still like that Luffy didn't want to be the guy who like broke it. But once Gaimon asked, like,
well, no, it's like I think it's a strength to both their characters, right? Luffy didn't want to do something heartless, and Gaimon, he has known something about his life that you wouldn't expect him necessarily to have based on his character so far. You didn't know he would have been so mature about this happenstance, right? He goes on to become protector. He goes on to become protector of the creatures in the forest, which is, I think, a very honorable and like understandable thing for him to do. But very impressive to do on such short notice.
I also want to point out, just to kind of reinforce this panel, because I think you won this chapter. I think that is the best panel.
Oh my goodness!
Also, at the end, the very last panel was very cute with Gaimon waving. Such a juxtaposition from my panel that I chose. Right, Gaimon in my panel that I chose is screaming towards his crew to come back. But in the very last shot of this one, that kind of pays off my panel, which is he's waving calmly bye to Luffy and them. But now, rather than him being alone, he's surrounded by his creature friends. And then your boy Pig Lion is staring straight into the camera.
The best one. It was chosen. Eiichiro Oda agrees with me.
Yeah, but I also like this last panel is so good too because I like how the narrator is also saying stuff like, and so Luffy and his friends leave Gaimon on his island. Like, that's your island now, man. Like, it's not anybody else's. It's not just a random treasure island. It's yours. You own it, and you found your place in the world, sort of deal.
Yeah, it's not just an abandoned island anymore. We didn't talk about like a nice little aspect that came up really early, which was Luffy kind of having a hope that there would be somebody there. Like, Nami's like, why would we go there? And Luffy's like, there might be someone there to join our crew, right? Yeah. And so, it's another little meta layer of, like, striving towards the empty thing, you know,
now I kind of like
having hope about it.
I like this chapter a little more now. Now we add all those things together. Because it was, like, if they would have skipped it like Nami suggested, like, there's nothing there, then they would have been able... Like, I would still be waiting, still hoping there's something in those treasure chests. He wouldn't have been able to accept that thing, right? And it's just, they wouldn't have learned a little bit of what... Like, Gaimon would have just lived his life without having this thing, and now he can live happier now that Luffy and them went through.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's, like, I'm gonna unbox it to the super meta level. Just like it didn't matter for Gaimon whether or not the treasure chest had treasure in it. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter for Luffy whether the island had anything on it, you know? Yeah. It's still the island on his journry, you know. We're all going to have islands on our journey, and they may or may not have treasure, you know? Yeah. The treasure is in the journey a little bit,
but
okay?
It's still part of your journey, like making those choices to go to those places to at least to know something that you didn't know before is worth the stop. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth the stop, you know? And that's why on, you know, our the tour of the Grand Line that we're taking right now on Grand Line Tourist, you know, we're taking the stops, you know? We're going chapter by chapter.
All right. Here, I have the perfect noise that we can end on, the perfect onomatopoeia.
Oh, all right.
Give me your best pig lion roar.
I knew this was going to happen. This is exactly my thing. Oh, wait, are we gonna we can go back and forth? I'll do a pig lion roar and then you do a pig lion roar? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna channel my inner pig lion. Okay, I'm gonna have a little snort. Gotta be like
Your noise like completely cut off over Discord, so I'm gonna do mine. I'm sure you caught it in yours, in your recorder. So I'll do mine. That was pretty good, right?